All right, guys, in this video, I want to take a couple of minutes to let you know what my expectations are for the upcoming State of Play, which I will be live streaming here on the channel. So be sure to tune into that. I'll be doing a live reaction and we will discuss what was revealed and talked about afterwards. But there are a lot of different expectations floating around the internet when it comes to what exactly Sony is going to be revealing and talking about during this State of Play broadcast. So I want to go over what Sony is telling us to expect and then let you know what exactly I'm expecting based off of what they're telling us. So before we get into it, if you could do me a favor, hit that like button to help the video out and show it your support, and leave a comment down below letting me know some of your expectations for this State of Play. Now, this is reading from the PlayStation blog. It says a new slate of game updates and deep dives coming this Thursday. Says it's time for another State of Play. This Thursday, a State of Play broadcast will serve up new updates and deep dives for 10 games coming to PS4 and PS5, including new game announcements and updates on some of the third-party and indie titles you saw in June's PlayStation 5 showcase, last June's PlayStation 5 showcase. The show is clocking in at 30 minutes or so, give or take. Can't wait to hear what you think. And a quick note, there won't be PlayStation hardware or business-focused updates in this show. We're focusing on great games set to come out in the months ahead. Okay, so a lot of very interesting information here as to what to expect with the State of Play, and I'm glad that they make it pretty clear. This is why I get a little bit confused when I see some of the predictions that people are making on the internet when it comes to what we're going to see during the State of Play. I can only imagine or assume that the reason why they make such bold predictions is because they're not reading what's being said here. Now, there is always the off chance that they could be throwing a curveball here, right? Where they're trying to set our expectations low just to shock us with something big. But I wouldn't assume that that's going to happen. And so I want you to pay attention to a couple of things that are being said here that reveal some interesting stuff. It's not just for PS5 titles, obviously. It's for both PS4 and PS5. So certainly some cross-gen games. Now, it says here, including new game announcements. I have to highlight this part because I've seen a lot of people say that we should not expect any new game announcements because Sony said so. But if you read this blog post, unless this was some kind of typo or they just made a mistake in saying this, it literally says, including new game announcements. Now, are these new game announcements going to be massive? Are they going to be colossal? No, I absolutely would not expect anything major. If we are talking about new game announcements, I think it's more than likely we're talking about maybe an indie game or two, okay? I don't think it's going to be the next big AAA blockbuster from Sony. I don't think it's going to be Silent Hill. I don't think it's going to be Metal Gear Solid. It's going to be nothing of that sort. It's going to be probably an indie game or two that's coming out in the next few months. But it also does stress that there will be updates on some of the third-party and indie titles that we saw last June. So if you go back and watch that June showcase, we'll be hearing about some more of those games that are probably coming soon. And that's the last part I want to mention here, is that they make it clear, nothing relating to hardware, nothing relating to business-focused updates. So if you're hoping to hear about any of the updates that Sony's going to be bringing to the PS5, we're not going to hear about it here. They're just focusing specifically on great games that are set to come out in the months ahead. Okay, now, there's two big ones here that I think people are focused on. Well, there's three. I say three because I think one of them is fairly obvious. I would be quite surprised if this game specifically didn't show up, that game being Kena Bridge of Spirits. This is a game that has been long speculated to be releasing in March. At this point in time, there is heavy speculation that it's going to be announced it will be part of March's PlayStation Plus lineup, which would be fantastic. However, I'm not fully anticipating that, regardless of how much sense that would make. I'm just going to assume that if we see it, we're going to get a new trailer and a release date, and it will be releasing relatively soon, hopefully in March. I think that that would be the perfect time for it to launch. But when it comes to the other two games that I was talking about, I'm referencing Horizon Forbidden West as well as God of War Ragnarok. Now, when it comes to Horizon Forbidden West, I think it's fair to expect something to show up in regards to this title. I don't necessarily think we're going to get a big gameplay showcase. That's just not going to happen. But I do think maybe a new trailer, not even necessarily a gameplay trailer, but just maybe a new story trailer, maybe just a little development update trailer. I think they're not going to show anything gameplay related to Horizon or for Horizon yet, because I think they're going to wait until we get further into this year and then have a big state of play, similar to what we saw with The Last of Us Part 2 as well as Ghost of Tsushima, just focused on showing gameplay of that extensively. When it comes to God of War Ragnarok, I'm going to tell you right now, it's not going to show up here. I would be beyond shocked if there was any mention of the next God of War at this show. At this point, it's seeming more likely, regardless of how much I believed it was going to come out this year, it's starting to seem much more likely it's not going to be coming out this year. I think it will be talked about very heavily later this year, but there's been pretty much zero mention of it from Sony. And so I absolutely would not expect it at this show. I have to mention this because I have seen quite a few people seemingly holding out hope, and I'm going to tell you right now, don't expect it, okay? Other than that, I think we're going to maybe see some updates potentially for Final Fantasy VII Remake, the PlayStation 5 version. Maybe we'll get a little something for Final Fantasy 16. That could be too big though. But again, there's going to be a focus on some indie games. I'm sure we're going to get updates for maybe a game or two that is already released. That's possible. It's worth noting that we haven't heard anything about the GTA 5 next-gen update pretty much since June, so there's a chance that could show up. And so there's a lot of different things that I think will be here, but I don't think this is going to be like a massive event. And I don't think anybody should go into this assuming it's going to be some type of massive future of gaming like event. It's not going to be. All you have to do is read this blog post to understand that. But at the same time, I don't think that means you have to assume it's going to be bad or terrible or nothing at all is interesting is going to show up. I think it's okay to have a little bit of excitement, but just don't get ahead of yourself. I've done that many times in the past, and I've learned since then. And so I'm excited for this. I'm looking forward to it. I think that this is perfect timing, as it's been seemingly quite some time since Sony's really announced anything or said anything. And so I think this is perfect timing. And I think that this is just going to be like a smaller kind of appetizer leading into closer to May and June and July, when the big events are going to happen, when the big major announcements are going to happen. And I think that if Sony, does it right here, it could be perfect. So anyway, that's going to do it for this video, guys. I hope you did enjoy it. I know that I didn't give super specific predictions, but I guess you could also kind of look at this as a, just a general expectation video. Like, are our expectations very high? Should they be in the middle? Should they be low? Well, that's for you to decide, but mine are kind of in the middle. I'm expecting some pretty decent reveals or announcements or updates, but nothing major, nothing super significant. So yeah, that's going to do it for the video. Leave me your thoughts down in the comments below. Again, leave the video a like if you enjoyed it. Subscribe if you're new. Hit the bell notification icon, and feel free to share this video out on top of all that. But until next time, guys, take care.